On, to the bright lights, say I. But before Marcus gets to London, just see what roads did for trade in other places, like Guildford.
And there's still evidence of very old roads right here in Guildford. In fact, this thoroughfare here was around in the Bronze Age, and it's now the modern-day High Street in Guildford. Matthew, you're the curator of Guildford Museum. How old does that make it?
Well, the actual surface here is Victorian, but the east to west land route across Surrey has been going for maybe 4,000 years or so, and it's still in use today, of course.
Really? And the way all the streets are laid out and the houses, does that owe anything to olden times?
A lot, yes. The old property boundaries in central Guildford date from Saxon times. The little side streets that you see here, laid out probably in the reign of King Edward the Elder. So the past is very much with us. The idea of transport, of moving things, everything to do with civilization, specialization, trade, the transmission of goods and ideas, all depends on transport. Let's go and have a look at some evidence of early medieval trade.
Great, let's go to it. Wow, this is an amazing place. It's almost like a white palace underground. What was it used for?
Well, it was probably a medieval wine merchant's shop of about 1300.
1300s? And I can't help noticing these kind of mutilated faces around the walls. What are they?
Well, you've seen the old tradition of gargoyles in medieval churches. It's the same idea. We call them corbels, carved brackets.
These barrels are huge. I just can't imagine how something this big could have been transported, let alone from one town to another, but from countries all around the world. How did they do it in those days?
Well, yes, it would have been a 13th century wine merchant like myself who would have shipped these from Bordeaux across the sea to Southampton or Portsmouth and overland here to Guildford. And of course the wine would then be drawn out into jugs and sold that way. No bottles, of course.
See how that early beginning in the mud just brought more and more goods to the villagers. First, a roadway takes pack animals and simple trade. After centuries, the checklist grows and grows. Stone for great houses, from quarries 20 miles away, by road. Wine for the merchants, from France, by ship and road. And this, ideas for adding up, brought by monks, by road. And completely baffling, frankly.
And I take the rest away.
Nowadays, people think nothing of doing their shopping over the counter. But have you ever wondered what the origins are of the word counter? Matthew?
Yes, indeed. In the Middle Ages, of course, people used coins. They needed to account for them, to add them up, divide them, multiply them. So let's think of some numbers. Think of a number. 5.
Amazing. This is how people building roads would add up how many stones they needed. You put a different counter on different lines for hundreds, tens and so on. Are you paying attention, sound recordist? Then you look and see how the counters all add up.
Okay, 386.
Brilliant. 10 out of, lots and lots.